One of the things that that I encourage new entrepreneurs to do who are interested in tech but may not have tech ideas is to look around at universities and research institutions for tech ideas. That's all I'm gonna say. I have a whole methodology on how to do that. But you do not have to be the inventor of the tech. You need to be able to license the tech and find a home for the tech. So universities and research institutions are great ways to find commercialization ideas. My name is Curtis A. Merriweather Jr. In 2020, I was named a game changer by the White House Policy Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And I want to serve as your executive business mentor in the government contracting space. Now, my channel is unique from other channels. Our goal is to help entrepreneurs overcome common business challenges on their government contracting journey. Now, one of the ways we do that, or several ways we do that, is through education, consultation, and training support services. Now, my training is based on 26 years of progressive government contracting experience. Plus, we've coupled that with some advanced business education. As many of you know, I have an MBA, a Master's of Science in Project Management, and also a PhD in management. Many of you know I defended my dissertation a few weeks ago. So we're going to be able to combine the actual as well as practical lessons learned. But the goal is to make sure that we lessen your learning curve. I want you to leverage the experience and education that I've invested heavily in, and I want you to travel alongside this government contracting journey with me. Now, if you have not already, I want to encourage you to go to 8figuregovcon.com, take a look around. We have a variety of programs, two in particular. We have our 8-figure government contracting mastery 5X program bundle. I want you to take a look at this. This program is for anyone, regardless of experience level. So if you're new or if you're seasoned, you're going to get something from that course. And I believe my approach is very radical, very different than anything else I've heard by many of the popular social media personalities in the government contracting space. So we have a unique approach. Now, that unique approach has helped us to make millions in government contracting revenues. Many of you know I made my very first million at 32. We made $1.4 million that year. So I want to teach you those tips, tricks, and strategies that helped me early on and still helps me today as we've scaled up our business. So I want to help you lower your learning curve. Now, I also want to, if you want to just go and kind of look directly at the a la carte offerings, I encourage you to go to the store page and actually browse the offerings. If you have any questions, please free to send me a DM, drop me a note. I'll happily address your questions, or you can just simply leave me a note in the comment. That's what many of you all do. But I just want to again encourage you, if you are new or seasoned, our flagship program is the 8-figure GovCon Mastery 5X program bundle. You can do a pay at once, or you can actually do small monthly installments. So completely whatever's best for you and your particular situation. And if you want to level up even further, definitely take a look at the mentorship program, which will also give you access to all of the government contracting 5X mastery program modules as well. So you get the 8-figure GovCon mastery bundle plus the mentorship if you decide to pursue that option. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, if you have not, I want you to subscribe. I want you to smash the subscribe button. I want you to give me a like, hit the notification bell, and that way you'll be informed of anytime we drop a new video. Now, try to drop new videos every week. We're going to start playing with our programming to provide more on this channel than what we've already been providing. As many of you guys know, I finished my PhD journey, and so now I've had time to brainstorm and figure out how to better curate more content, actionable content that's going to help you really level up in this space. We want to be your go-to channel for all things government contracting. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to help you navigate the road ethically, legally, and in compliance with the FAR. So if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Now, I have an interesting conversation for you all today. Now, what I want to talk about today is billions in federal tech grants help small businesses compete. Now, really and truly, this is the reason why I went back to school and got a PhD in management. So before I jump into what I want to talk about today, I'm going to tell you a brief story. This was about 2018, I believe. I was selected to participate in a program at Rutgers University, a technology commercialization curriculum. It was a great program, by the way. Shout out to the folks at Rutgers University who run that program. You all know who you are. I was tapped to participate in the program. Now, we had some innovation, some technology that we wanted to commercialize. I had an idea, I kind of sketched down some things. As you guys know, I'm an engineer, and I wanted to figure out how to crack the tech innovation, researcher innovation space. I wanted to figure it out. And at that time, I did not know how. So went through this curriculum, lasted the whole summer. It was a great curriculum. Went to New Jersey a couple times, had great instruction. And at the end of that, I was trying to take my conceptual idea and turn it into some innovation. So it's one of the things I am interested in is innovating and inventing and putting new technology out into the space. So government contracting, or that realm, gives you a lot of flexibility, especially for my technically inclined, innovative tech entrepreneurs. There are a lot of innovation that you can participate on the government's dime. You didn't know that many of your bigger companies today get a lot of money from the SBIR program. A lot of your larger organizations, before they became large, were getting money from grant programs with the federal government. That's how they were able to do their feasibility analysis on some of these ideas. They got a phase 1, a phase 2, and potentially commercialize that idea, which led into a long-term government contract. Might not have known that. So this is definitely a path for my innovators and my researchers. If you have technology ideas, to commercialize that tech, to actually scale it at, I can't say minimal expense, but you can definitely tap into the government coffers to scale that idea. This is something I lead a lot of my students into, who are kind of tech inclined and have technology ideas to trying to scale and commercialize. This is the path I normally send them down. But back to my story. So in 2018, I had a technology idea to revolutionize the electronic health record system. As many of you know, I did my dissertation on cognition, EHR use, psychological stressors, and decision-making. I wanted to understand why or how EHR was impacting clinical decision-making. Well, the reason for that is because of a tech idea I have. Now, I'm not going to disclose what I'm doing there, but that was my reasoning for jumping into a PhD program. But that was after going through a summer working with a PhD in biology, and she was using terminology that I quite frankly was not familiar with. She started talking to me about things like research design and data collection methods and how we're going to do the analysis and how we're going to test it and publishing the report. I had no idea what she was talking about. And I like to think I'm a smart person. I had no idea, listen to me, what she was talking about. So we had a great relationship, but we were talking at one another and not to one another. She was using a language that I had no clue what she was talking about. So I, as the tech innovator, did not have any idea how to cross that chasm. But it was then that really started getting the wheels turning regarding the PhD program. I understood clearly after working with this biology PhD that I had a lot to learn. Although I had did very well in the government contracting space, it became quite obvious to me that in order for me to break into the research domain and take advantage of some of these SBIR opportunities, I had to learn more. So we went through a proposal process. Matter of fact, through National Science Foundation, our grant ended up not getting funded. They told me it was kind of similar to some things they had funded in the past. I took the feedback and it served as a great learning lesson. I knew that if I wanted to build a leading technology company, not just services, but a leading technology company, and to go a different path than my traditional government contracting peers, that I had to tap into some new knowledge. And that's what really led me to the PhD program that I am now completing. And in that process, I learned the things that that PhD was trying to help me with. So now, if we were to pursue this process now, I'll be in a whole much better position. And one of my strategies going forward, to be very honest, is to take advantage of a lot more of the innovation research grant money that's available, whether it's SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, or STTR, that's the Small Business Technology Transfer, research. That's that process. So SBIRs are led by small business. STTRs are led by small business as well. But typically with STRs, there's normally a relationship with the research institution, but the small business has to lead. Now, neither opportunity prevents you from working with innovators and researchers. And it's something I actually recommend. It's a strategy. I won't get into it here, that I teach my students how to do, that if they're not tech inclined, how to tap into innovation, just sitting, and how to license that technology to turn it into a true revenue generating opportunity. And we can talk later about how to do that if you decide that you want to talk about it as a student of my course. But let's move on. There's billions of dollars in this space for tech entrepreneurs. Now, I happen to be technically inclined. I have some ideas that I want to get into the space, and this is one of the vehicles that I'm planning to use. And this is really the reason why I went to get a PhD. Simply could I could have this conversation better. So now I'm equipped to bring high-level technical people in the room, have those conversations, and using the skills that I've learned in my PhD program, I'm better positioned as a CEO and as an innovator to bring that technology to fruition by better understanding the process. So that's really what my PhD taught me, is how to become a researcher. And now one of my goals going into 2023, 2024 is to take some of those tech ideas that I've had that have been sitting on the shelf that I still haven't seen anything remotely close to. My goal now is to take those ideas, write them up in a research proposal, and get them funded. And over the next 2 or 3 years, get that technology commercialized, either in the commercial space or the government space, but leverage the government dollars that are available to push that technology forward. Now, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as you guys know, I always like to add a few slides to the screen. So what we're going to talk about today is innovation research. Now, innovation research helps to meet the research and development needs for the federal government. Now, you guys know I'm a government contractor. In order to take advantage of this, you do have to be registered in SAM. So a lot of the same principles apply. These are grant opportunities. Now, this is money that you do not have to pay back. However, you are expected to perform. And so when you go into this, you got to have your idea. Of course, your idea is going to be vetted by a group of peers, not your peers, but peers at that research institution who's doing this, whether that's DOD or National Science Foundation. There are a variety of avenues you can tap in to get your innovation, so you can promote your innovation and hopefully get it funded. Now, we're not going to do a super deep dive, but this is just going to be introductory to get your wheels turning about how you can take advantage and leverage the billions of dollars that are available in this space. So we want to increase technology commercialization with federal dollars. This stimulates technological innovation. I said a few moments ago that a lot of your larger businesses that you're probably not even thinking about, at one point, many of them got their money through SBIR programs. Tesla, SpaceX, a lot of these companies that we think about that are doing high technology solutions have gotten innovation research money. And they went through the different phases, and those progressing successfully through those phases has led both of those companies, in some instances, to large federal procurements, sole sources that were not competed because they were uniquely qualified. So y'all thought this sole sources were just for 8A companies. Not true. If you're uniquely qualified and you're deemed a limited source in the space, you can get sole sources for millions of dollars. And the SBIR program creates a pathway for that. Now, we're seeing about $3.2 billion annually poured into this program. Now, I'm talking about just SBIR programs. There are a bunch of different permutations of this. Some are led by the SBA, some are led by DOD, some are led by NSF, the National Science Foundation. But when you look at the collective pot, we're looking at about $3.2 billion annually. Now, this is both SBIR and STTR. So just keep that in mind. So let's go into a little more depth here. So the STTR, the Small Business Technology Transfer, that's this program. Now, this facilitates technology transfer through cooperative R&D between small businesses and research institutions, because this could be research labs or it could be universities. Now, here's a news flash. A lot of your larger universities are getting substantial dollars from grant procurements. I heard the amount of money that my particular institution or my school was getting in federal grant awards, and it was astounding. A lot of your larger what we call R1, Research 1, Research 1, 2, and 3 are the typical tiers based on dollar amount and scope, size, complexity of the research program, R1 being the highest. You'll be surprised at the staggering amounts of money that universities make from or generate from grant opportunities. Another thing you can look at from an STTR perspective is called a CRADA. This is a Cooperative Research and Development Research Agreement. Now, these typically come on the heels of an STTR or an SBIR. Now, those are just two different ways to get these dollars. There is more money in the SBIR program, that's the Small Business Innovation Research, than the STTR. But we're still seeing about $450 million annually in the STTR program. So it is something for my innovators and tech entrepreneurs that you need to be aware of. This is free money, but you have to have a viable idea and you have to be willing to go through the paces to obtain this money. Hence, one of the reasons why I went back and got a PhD in management. I wanted to better understand this process. Now I'm one of those hands-on entrepreneurs. I like to be involved. I like to know what's happening. And so I'm not saying that you have to do that, but you need to have someone on your team who can help translate idea to research proposals so we can get funding. So this is something I definitely encourage you to think about and consider as part of a business strategy going forward. This is a way that we can maximize dollars in by producing proprietary products and solutions that are not commonplace. A lot of our technologies today are becoming commoditized. Let me say this. A lot of the technologies today are becoming commoditized. I remember the days when cybersecurity, still a needed area. I'm not belittling it. It's very needed. But I remember when the bill rates were more significant than they are today. But we're seeing significant bill rates now in things like cloud solutions, whether that's AWS or Azure or some competitive solution. We're seeing very strong bill rates in artificial intelligence and machine learning. But there will come a day when those services become commoditized. One of the ways, when I say commoditized, meaning commonplace, when it becomes more commonplace, we normally see rates decline. Especially in the IT space, in the tech space, you're going to see ebbs and flows and you're going to see cycles. Because the technology is hot today, doesn't mean it's going to be hot in 10 years. I'm just saying. So if you get into the tech space, especially as using SBIR and STTR programs, this is one way where you can kind of sidestep some of the tailwinds that make certain services and or products commoditized. But let's move forward. So I like this graph because it gives us a very quick and brief comparison contrast, because I know some of you are saying, what's the difference between an SBIR and an STTR? Well, the SBIR permits partnering. So remember, SBIR is the Small Business Innovation Research. STTR was the Small Business Technology Transfer. It's still a research initiative, but that TR is transfer. So it requires a nonprofit research institution, so research lab or university. That is not required in SBIR, but it's permissible. That's important. The STTR, you have to have a research lab partner or a university. It's not required in SBIR, although many SBIR participants do partner with research labs and universities. That's just FYI. SBIRs, primary employment, 50% must be with the small business. So they go that 50% again. So, we talk about you cannot just sub everything out to sub out everything out to your team. The same rules apply here. And you notice it says greater than 50%. Typically, we see 51-49. Now, if you've heard my lectures, I talk about doing the absolute maximum amount of work you can do because it helps you grow as an organization. I use the example, if I put two companies side by side and one company is, let's just say both of them are $10 million companies, and one historically does 80% of their work, and the other one typically subs out the minimum, 51-49. They're going to sub out 49% of their work on average. If I pace those companies 5 years, that company that does the lion's share of their work is going to be a lot more mature from a capability perspective than their peer. Now, let me say this. We make great money in the day-to-day, but most of your money is made when you sell. But I'm surprised by how many entrepreneurs who are short-sighted. So they get these ideas that they're going to do the absolute minimum and sub out everything else. And again, no less than 51-49. This is what I teach. And then they wonder why they're not profitable. So you don't want to be doing this forever. There has to be an exit strategy, but you got to think about the end from the beginning. But these people who want to do minimum work, you're going to have a very difficult time trying to sell that business downstream. You haven't developed any real chops. Now, if you're just in it for a quick buck, I'm not here to convince you of any one way or the other. But what I am going to say is I always have my eyes toward the exit. I'm not looking at today. And I think there's too many short-sighted entrepreneurs who are just looking at today and they miss that premise. But that was free. That was not what I was planning on talking about. And I'm going to keep moving because if I stay there, I can build a rabbit hole there and we're not going to get through what I want to cover today. So moving forward. Now, the SBIR, you may subcontract up to 33% in the SBIR. In the STTR, you can do 40% small business, 30% research institution partner. Got it? This is the SBIR program. So subcontracting is allowed, but it has a limitation threshold. So be mindful of that. The program size permits 3.2%. That talks about how much the research institution has more than $100 million. Typically 3.2% is allocated to SBIR programs, and similarly in STTR, so 0.45%. So if you got an agency with $100 million in research budget, 3.2% goes toward that budget in SBIR programs, and 4.45%. So you see it's smaller. That's why we got 3.2 billion in SBIR, and I think roughly around 450 million thereabout in STTR. Now, majority VC ownership. Now, this talks about venture capital. Remember, I'm talking about innovation in tech. So SBIR allows majority VC ownership based on the agency. And STTR is not allowed. So what does that mean? That means if you're a new company, if you're in the SBIR program, based on what agency you're partnering with, the majority of the company may be owned by a VC or a venture capital firm. That is not allowed in the STTR program. Now, in the SBIR program, there are 11 agencies with extramural R&D budgets in excess of 100 million. And that is what this says is there's 11 agencies that are at least contributing that 3.2% because they have at least $100 million in R&D budget. Now the STTR program, you got 5 agencies and they got extramural budgets of greater than $1 billion. Okay. So now the numbers are starting to make sense. So now you kind of see why we're close to 450 million in STTR and 3.2 billion roughly in SBIR. Now, this is a phased approach. Now I'm doing this in very broad brushes. You can get down to an agency level and you'll see some nuance. But what this is designed is to really to tee up the conversation so you can go and do further investigation. Now, one of the agencies I really like is the National Science Foundation. And another one that I like is the Air Force AFWorks program. Now, how they do this is a little different, but they have their pros and cons. Now, I'm not going to dig in that much here, but those are the 2 programs I like. But check your favorite agency and see what SBIR programs they have and what type of innovation research they're interested in obtaining through the SBIR or STTR process. But typically phase 1 is a concept development or feasibility analysis. This is where you have an idea and you're really trying to flesh it out to see if it's going to be viable or not. Phase 2, you normally went through phase 1. Phase 2, you're going to develop the prototype further. So in phase 1, you found that it does have some feasibility. It's a great concept. In phase 2, you're going to further define or further flesh out that capability. Now in phase 3, this is where we can get, you don't typically have money here, but in phase 3, if you do a good job in phase 1 and 2, and you commercialize that technology, which means you take it from a readiness level of 1 to a more mature capability. There's 7 readiness levels, but if you take it up to say a 5 or a 6, there's a possibility that can turn into a unspecified sole source contract. Now I've seen this happen. So that's how you do this. This is for my technology company. So phase 1, concept development, feasibility analysis, just making sure there's some there. Phase 2, your prototype development, fleshing out the details, tightening up some things. And in phase 3, really raising the maturity level of that technology, and that can turn into a real bona fide contract. I think you're starting to see the power here. Now, qualifications. This is for United States-based for-profit corporations. This is my S Corps, my C Corps, and my LLCs that are for-profit. It has to be U.S.-based, owned, and operated, meaning you cannot be operating in a foreign country trying to take advantage of the SBIR and STTR programs. And you have to have less than 500 employees, or what we call full-time equivalents. Now, typically 500 employees or less, there's gets into some nuance with the size standards, but typically 500 employees or less is a small business. Okay. We'll leave the size standard conversations out for now. Now, it has to be focused on providing R&D, early stage R&D only. You cannot bring in some solution that's somewhat mature and expect the SBIR, STTR program to pay for it. It's not. It's looking for high risk, high potential reward projects, early stage projects. Not looking for projects that are looking to minimize risk. You cannot use the SBIR, STTR program to purchase equipment, and you cannot be used to commercialize existing technology. So if you've gone through phase 1, 2, and 3, if you're going through phase 1 and 2, then you're okay. But you cannot bring mature technology to the forefront and start at phase 1 and expect the SBIR, STTR program to pay for it. I'm going to give you a tip here. One of the things that I encourage, I want to tell this tip. One of the things that I encourage new entrepreneurs to do who are interested in tech but may not have tech ideas is to look around at universities and research institutions for tech ideas. That's all I'm going to say. I have a whole methodology on how to do that. But you do not have to be the inventor of the tech. You need to be able to license the tech and find a home for the tech. So universities and research institutions are great ways to find commercialization ideas. I can create a whole video on this, but I just want to say that. So if you're not the innovator, there are ways to partner with others, and we know that SBIR permits partnering and STTR requires partnering, but there's ways to partner regardless of the program that you can take nascent early stage technology ideas and help commercialize them. Commercialization is a big fancy word for saying help that product mature and sell it to the open market. Moving on. Now, let me talk very briefly about this process because you're probably interested. The way I like to approach this is I like to start off with a problem of practice. Normally there's some consensus in the world, good or bad, and normally there's a competing idea. I like to find that gap in the middle, and I like to create venture or innovation out of the gap. We call that a problem of practice. So you need to define the problem you are trying to solve with your technology. Number two, you need to have a way. And there's a variety of ways to do this. I'm not going to turn this into a research video, but you need to have a way to sample and collect data. You need to know what data do you need and how are you going to collect it. Now, you don't have to do all this yourself, but you need to partner with someone who understands this process. Once you understand the data that you're going to collect and the sample, you need to come up with a research design. Now, you need to find a way that you're going to test this problem of practice, which may take the form of a research question. They're going to be a qualitative design, a quantitative design, or some mixed method design. Now, mixed method design has qualitative and quantitative components. It could be a qualitative, quantitative study. It could be a qual. It could be a qual. It can take a bunch of different paths. It can be concurrent. It can be parallel. It can be sequential. So just kind of figure out what your approach is going to be to ascertain the value in what you're doing. It could be an experiment, which is a quantitative method. It could be agent-based modeling. It could be focus groups followed by some type of surveys. But there needs to be a way that you're going to extract the details that you need to push the innovation forward. Once you've collected the data based on your research design, you need to analyze and interpret the findings. So we're talking qualitative work, you're going to use something like maybe in vivo coding, using the constructivist grounded method. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay. Or you may be using some type of statistical processes, whether that's structural equation modeling or some hybrid approach to analyze the data. And once you analyze the data, you got to disseminate the findings. This is what the government, the SBIR program is going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for some type of publication, some type of test results. They're going to define what the reporting mechanism needs to be so you can step through that process. So if you're in phase one, you're going to be able to progress to phase two. If you're in phase two, you're going to, of course, report out accordingly and move to potentially phase three. And so this is all I really wanted to cover today, was to let you know there's a pot of money out there in the tune to $3.2 billion in SBIR annually on average, and about $450 million annually for STTR. So hopefully this provided a little bit of insight. It's something kind of off the cuff that I don't normally talk about, but I wanted my innovation researchers and tech entrepreneurs to know that there's hope for you in the federal space as well. So there's a way for you to use those qualitative skills that you develop in your PhD programs and doctoral programs. There's a way for you to monetize and push technology forward, especially my PhDs in the STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. There's money out there for you to move those ideas forward, and the government is willing to assume the risk because they want those nascent, early stage technical ideas. Now, That's all I wanted to share today. I hope this video was informative to my tech entrepreneurs and my researchers and my innovators. And I hope you'll start moving forward and looking for ways to pursue this path. Now, one of the things that I can help you with, if you are interested, if you're looking to sign up for the 8-figure GovCon Mastery Program, typically that program is dedicated to service-based companies. We do have a few product-based companies, but my sweet spot is service. If you would like to talk about this process, I'll walk through that process with you in my mastery program and help you navigate the course and help you kind of understand how to assemble the team to move forward in the right direction. Now, you're still gonna have to do the work, but I will serve as your guide, being that I now am credentialed to successfully walk through this process. But that's all I have today. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. And if you have not subscribed, so smash that subscribe button. I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and go back and watch some more of my other videos. Until next time.